All right, y'all. So we got to talk about something. Kendrick Lamar is facing, wait for it, hypocrite allegations. Okay. Now, look, we're going to have a little nuanced discussion about it. So if you were a person that can have conversations that, where you're actually sharing your nuanced opinion, feel free to share it in the comments. I'm going to look at this from an objective perspective. To be clear, I'm a Kendrick fan. I've been a fan since I was growing up. I listen to all of his music, even the unreleased stuff, the deep cuts. I am fully invested. If you go check all my videos, Kendrick's side during the beef. But this is where objective Ciara it's going to come out. So we got this video from my guy, Delete It. I know he's pro Kendrick, so it's going to be fun to kind of just watch. Y'all make sure y'all go sub up to him. By the way, we're live on Twitch, so make sure you drop a follow. The link's pinned in the comments and description. Let's go ahead and check out Delete This video, because I know he's going to make a lot of pro Kendrick arguments. And I'm just going to try to play devil's advocate, and then at the end, give a little bit more of my nuanced feelings. So let's go ahead and get into it, y'all.
Fuck a subliminal with him is direct.
Look, just take it. Do I look like it? Look at me. Do I look like I care? Look. I don't care.
Y'all over here acting like Kendrick Lamar shook hands with the devil himself, calling himself an evil twin. Oh no, he made a song with the dude who's got domestic violence charges. Tragic. Let's all cry about it. What the hell?
Okay, off the rip, the tone of this, I'm so glad Delete It did this, because it's like he's representing damn near all the Kendrick fans that I've seen, like on Twitter, all that. So, like you guys just heard, this is all because of Playboy Cardi. Now, to start, I just have to say, as a Kendrick fan that was going hard for him and making the arguments against people, just like how when J. Cole apologized and backed out the beef and I was going hard for him about him in the beef and he's gonna win and all this, I feel the same exact way. Okay, if you want to get emo about it and write paragraphs, be my guest. All you're gonna do is boost the video, and I will actually respond, because I genuinely want to have a convo. And if that's not enough for you, we can get on stream and debate about it. You can pull into the stream, I get you in Discord, we can sit there and actually have a debate about it. But I'm telling you how I feel. I was like, damn, okay, so when I first saw the song, y'all can go see my initial thoughts on the Cardi song. I'll put it up there in the corner in the video so y'all can go check it out. But on God, I was like, wow, Kendrick collab with Cardi. I didn't see this one coming. Like, when I heard the rumors, I was like, oh, they trolling. This don't even make sense. Kendrick or Cardi? On the song, I like the song. Good credit, love it. Mojo Jojo, I'm sorry. Kendrick's ad-libs still crack me up, gang. Kendrick's ad-libs still crack me up on there. But artistically, musically, it was cool to see the collab, because I personally like when artists collab with other artists not usually in their realm. This is damn near like the equivalent if J. Cole collab with Yeet or some shit like that. So musically, I fuck with it. But I have to say, as a person that was going the same angle Kendrick went with the moral stuff, it does feel kind of crazy to see now you're working with a known one abuser. And I ain't talking just a little tussle. I'm talking not just him, but people on his label splitting women head open type vibe. And then on top of that, he's a deadbeat. Let's just resonate on the deadbeat right quick. When you go so hard on Drake being a deadbeat and then you work with a deadbeat, it just, okay, let's just say it like this. Kendrick has never said that he's perfect. He's said in his music that he's not a hypocrite. Okay, or that he is a hypocrite. My fault. I said it the wrong way. He said that he's not perfect, and he said that he's a hypocrite, right? I've listened to Kendrick music. Y'all don't gotta write a dissertation about what he said, right? I've been making this argument to people, but I will say, when people say that they're a good person and they have good values, that is subjective, right? Because like to some people, right, like a J. Cole or maybe a Kendrick, they have so much empathy for the experience, especially of other black men, because they are black men, that they have this grace with other men that they don't extend to women. I just think it's interesting. Men will get more upset over a girl being a hoe and trying to smash one of their friends, even if that's not actually their girl. I'm talking about the bops they be getting with. They'll be more mad about that than a nigga beating bitches or a nigga being a deadbeat. Because me personally, I can't tell no one else how to feel. I can just tell you how I operate. for me, I'm not a perfect person, but there's certain things for me that's just a hard line. And I think that's kind of the message that people were feeling they were getting from Kendrick, which that was essentially in the beef, the message that he was pushing, even if it was just to own Drake, even if it was just to prove a point or just to attack him, right? He still made himself a pillar for these things, like, oh, I protect women, but then it's not I protect women, it's I protect my women, which is a larger discussion that we need to have in hip-hop, because this came up during the beef, how women were used as pawns essentially in a man's battle, while none of y'all have a history of actually respecting women. There are actual valid critiques to make of Kendrick and every other man in hip-hop, because as much as these dudes are pro-black and black power and love the black community, when it comes to black women, all those morals and all those values and the integrity goes out the window. Am I lying? Listen to what Kendrick said in his songs. This nigga has been horrible to women. He said as much himself. Damn near every other rapper as well. So I'ma just need the Kendrick fans to hop off Schmeat. And when someone makes a valid point, you don't get to be like, oh, well, Kendrick already said he's a hypocrite, so you can't bring it up. No, him saying he's a hypocrite opens up the conversation. He knows there's going to be conversation, and he's okay with that, right? Because in his mind, he's like, hey, only God's going to judge me type vibe. And that's okay. You can say God going to judge you, but people on earth are going to judge too, right? And to me, it speaks more to how much further we have to go when it comes to progression of black people as a collective, not just black men, right? Extending that same grace to women that y'all extend to men. Because I'm telling you, it's more of a sin for a woman to sleep around with whoever she wants than for niggas to beat bitches or not be around their kids. Me personally, I ain't fuck with nobody that's deadbeat. That's just me though, right? So you know what it is? Some people, off of the music and off of the stances Kendrick took, y'all have to understand there's some people that really thought he stood for those things, right? They didn't think he was doing it just as a public exhibition and humiliating Drake, right? People really thought like Kendrick gave a fuck about beating women or not beating women, or being a deadbeat or not being a deadbeat. And what Kendrick speaks to is an issue that's way more prevalent than just him. It's in this entire country. We're extremely individualistic. If it doesn't happen to you, or if it doesn't affect your people, people don't care. That's the mentality that's been prevalent in the black community for generations. And that to me is the bigger discussion, not just Kendrick Lamar, but more so what it represents for you to be pro-black, but then anti-black women at the same time, right? You could take it as far as go historically and look at the historical pro-black figures, the actual ones that Kendrick compares him to: Huey P. Newton, all the Black Panthers, MLK, Nelson Mandela. I mean, anyone you could think of. There's extremely problematic history, in particular with black women from these black men that were leaders. The Black Panthers even was mostly led by women, but even they had to still deal with misogyny. Okay? There's literally black leaders. I forget the guy's name, but I heard FD Signifier, someone talk about him. But there's literally black leaders back in the day that was pro-black that said, trigger warning, that to practice getting revenge on white people, they were going to grape fruit black women to practice grape fruiting white women. Okay, go look it up. It's a very prominent black leader. Okay, let's get to what Deleted has to say. But yeah, that's my initial thoughts on the whole situation. It goes way deeper than Kendrick.
What does that got to do with Dot? He ain't adopting that man's rap sheet. Shut the hell up. I'm lost. What world
He
do
ain't
we
adopting
live
his rap sheet? Okay. Can we be objective and not fanboys for a second? And fangirls? So are we going to sit here and act like associating yourself with a person that has a certain background and history doesn't speak to what you allow in your values? Are we just going to say that? Are we really going to like sit here and act like the man wasn't making a whole argument and character assessment on Drake based off of who he surrounds himself with? We going to sit like and act like that didn't happen. we gonna act like that means nothing. Really? Because we're fans of somebody's music? Like, the same goes for y'all, for the stands. Not just a fan and supporter, the stands. The same goes for y'all. When he says he's not y'all savior, that also means you don't sit there and defend every single thing he does. If you can say if you can acknowledge that he said he's a hypocrite, you look silly if you're a stan trying to defend everything he does when he literally spent his whole past 5 years deconstructing everything wrong with him as a person. If he's done that, you shouldn't feel offended if someone points out his hypocrisy. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you're making the argument that he's a hypocrite and he said he's a hypocrite, why are you defending points that are valid for critique or things that look a little funny or inconsistent? I also think another thing that's inconsistent with Kendrick is him pushing this pro-black and let the party die, but then you're performing at the Super Bowl. You let the party die, but then you're submitting your song to the Grammys. I think that there's some inconsistencies in his logic. I think he says he knows how to talk. He knows how to tell people what they want to hear. He knows how to appeal to a certain audience, and he's done that throughout his career. And it's like, no one's going to rappers for like a moral compass or anything, but that doesn't mean that we can't critique them. Just because the bar is low doesn't mean we have to keep lowering the bar. Just because it's normalized to associate yourself with weird people doesn't mean you have to keep associating yourself with them. Because at the end of the day, from what I'm hearing, they're saying Dr. Dre got some PDF allegations. I didn't know that. I did not know. I did know about maybe some domestic violence. Now look, this is a conversation that we can have on morally, what is the line? Because each person's line is different. Morally, what is your line for what you will and won't accept from people that you're around? Everyone got different lines. We're just seeing where Kendrick's line is. So we see a line in the sand for Kendrick is not domestic violence. A line in the sand is not a nigga being a deadbeat. At the end of the day, Kendrick gonna do whatever advances his career. That's what has been shown throughout his career. This whole humble, idea people have of Kendrick. Let's keep it a buck. My guy's an attention whore. Take it from another Gemini, okay? Look at the Geminis that's up, right? Kanye, Kendrick. I'm probably missing some other ones, but come on, gang, like, he's an attention whore. I'm saying this as a fellow attention whore sometimes. It's seasonal. But at the end of the day, like, just because we point these things out, you can be a fan and a supporter and still point these things out.
Where people aren't flawed. Y'all really think everybody is squeaky clean? Those are the people you need to watch for. The ones that act like everything is clean and squeaky in their lives. Those are usually...
These are the same niggas that friends be pedos and they know and be cool. That's what I'm saying. What is the line in the sand for niggas? Domestic violence, not it. Okay. Being a deadbeat, not it. Okay. Being a PDF ain't it either, apparently. So it's like, that saying birds of a feather flock together is Kendrick used that whole angle. So it's like, to me, in terms of like the narrative he was painting throughout the beef, this is his first misstep, in my opinion. I genuinely think this is his first misstep in terms of like continuing his arc and the angle that he was pushing. It makes the arguments look weaker because people didn't feel like Kendrick was saying those things solely to get at Drake. Like, yeah, we knew he was, but like people felt like Kendrick actually stood behind some of the stuff he was saying, whereas Kendrick was just using it to turn Drake into a stepping stone for his career, right? And y'all can't blame people for thinking that Kendrick actually believed and stood by those things the way that he put it out there. You can't blame people for that. Y'all trying to get mad at people because they actually believed him and they actually thought he stood for something. And basically what he showed you is that just like everybody else, he ain't shit, which he been kind of telling us that for years. But you have to understand, everyone's not a super Kendrick fan. Everybody wasn't listening to Mr. Morale. Everybody wasn't listening to Damn and To Pimp a Butterfly. So y'all got to understand, like, perception sometimes is greater than reality. And you have to acknowledge how he has painted this perception and narrative around himself. Yes, he's tried to combat it, but at the end of the day, he still leans into it at the same time.
The people with the craziest track record. This is not an ad. This is just a reminder to get your
Get your merch, ITP merch in the link tree.
virtue signalers
What the
having
hell?
takes
Is this
on rap
Eminem?
music. Not everyone
Oh.
should be able to talk in this space. It's clear that they didn't grow up on.
Oh, he's saying they're virtue signaling. Okay. Well, as a black person that did grow up on hip hop, that grew up in Atlanta, that was listening to rap and hip hop damn near out the womb, this is not virtue signaling for me. Maybe because I know he throwing shade to Fantano, and it's like, okay, you could easily use the angle that he's white. Well, what happens when a nigga says it? What happens when somebody that lives and breathes hip hop says it? What happens when somebody that loves Kendrick says it? You can't use that angle. So I'm gonna just skip past this part because he gonna be yapping about niggas being white, speaking on it, and oh, you're so sensitive and da 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 da. You know, I think that's a weak argument because Fantano's not the only one making a point. He's one of the people with the bigger platforms making it. But
Called out a PDF with clear evidence, video footage, Millie Bobby Brown's testimonies. He poked fun at him. And y'all over here are mad because he's rapping with someone that claims he's a vampire. Y'all really
really, you gonna water it down to him claiming he's a vampire?
trying to make that the same.
The nigga literally did not see his son. The nigga literally did not see his son so he could play PlayStation with Lil Uzi. Didn't see his son. Didn't show up to his son's birth. Come on. And from what I heard on Iggy Azalea tweets, he still ain't seeing his kid. He still ain't taking care. He still don't even acknowledge his son. But then he'll drop the nigga name in the music. I mean, really, to me, chat, how y'all feel about that? Do y'all think hanging around deadbeats is cool? I just can't fuck with no nigga that bring a child into this world and don't take care of them. I'm sorry. You'll never be cool to me. You'll forever be corny.
Situation. And then you got the people that are overly critiquing Kendrick Lamar's bars. Like he was supposed to drop a 10-minute conscious verse every damn time. Not everything gotta be deep.
I mean, he was having fun. So yeah, it don't gotta be deep.
Every man has the right to go through trials and tribulations and figure himself out. But me personally, I only slapped a few songs from Mr. Morale. It was never my go-to album. My favorite albums from K-Dot is the Kendrick Lamar EP, Overly Dedicated, Section 80, Good Kid, Mad
Overly
City,
Dedicated was a good
Damn,
one.
and GNX. Although he does gas on every single album, and all of them got strong-ass tracks that holds weight. But the ones that I named in particular, to me, that's his core style, and that's the Kendrick I prefer. I feel like Mr. Morale freed him. It freed anything he held in, and he found himself as a man. But at the same time, it weighed him down. It holds him down because a lot of people only view him as that now. They hold him to that standard. So of course, people love taking that album and using it against him, like he did it.
Well, he knew that would happen, right? So like, I don't think people need to defend Kendrick because he put that out there so that he could have all his critiques in the public. You know, like, I feel like you got to accept that if a person accepts themselves, you don't have to defend them. That's just me.
Didn't have a whole catalog beforehand. I say that
Okay.
to get
Full
over
discourse.
it, while everybody else gets full-scale outrage over the smallest shit. Y'all make snobby racial jokes about us all the fucking time on X, and nothing happens. Like nothing happens. Y'all yell at us and tell us it's free speech, and some of my own people will say it ain't that deep. My own people will say that shit. Man, it ain't that deep. It's funny. But then it'd be the same individuals that show full outrage for other groups of people. Make it make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. The energy never matches.
Oh, he
Y'all
talking
got
about
the
the
Myrons and the Sneakos, Big Strip, Black America. My favorite artist of all time. But out of all the rappers, out of all of them, Kendrick was the only one to ride for this nigga when Drake was clowning him. Kanye and Drake were at war, and Kendrick stepped in on Kanye's side.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about this. Okay, let's read some of the comments because I kind of want to respond to the comments because I know they're gonna have some good stuff. The hate got realer, the love got faker. Kendrick made you think about it, but he is not your savior. I thought Dot made it clear he called out Drake's character because he doesn't like dude or anything he stands for. People that think Kendrick is a virtue signaler don't actually listen to his music. He told us on 4 different tracks, I'm not your savior. I'm not your savior doesn't mean he's exempt from criticism. Kendrick beefing with Drake on the basis that he's morally reprehensible and then proceeded to work with someone morally reprehensible is valid criticism. Granted, the beef started on a Future Metro song. So literally all this tells me is that none of these niggas stand on anything. Yep. I started telling, okay. Every Kendrick song I run with criminals. In fact, my whole ethos is about empathizing with them. New Kendrick fans, I can't believe you'd work with rappers. Okay, but here's my thing though. Why are people acting like it's not a choice on who you work with? Like, you have a choice. Like, you don't have to work with these people. No one's holding a gun to Kendrick's head like, oh my God, you have to work with these people. Like, Kendrick got heavily put on by Dre, supported X, and even got on a song with Chris Brown, but these 2024 Kendrick versus Drake fans wouldn't know about that. Selective outrage for sure. Well, let's just put it like that. Just because he's worked with these people, all you're doing is just showing a pattern of inconsistency in terms of like what he's saying he stands for. Because I just think it's always interesting how like Black liberation and Black power and like Black people doing well the community, how it never includes Black women. And I think as a woman that loves hip hop, our perspective needs to be put at the forefront more, because it's like it's a sausage fest around here. It's a bunch of men, right? And like they're never gonna think about the women's perspective. It's very few men that will ever think critically about women in hip hop or women that love hip hop. You have to have some cognitive dissonance as a woman that loves hip hop, because there's so much misogyny and it's so normalized that it's like if you bring it up, it's like, oh well, duh. But it's like, at what point do we move on? At what point do we get better? At what point do we tell niggas that they need to be better people? I mean, think about it. Future literally made it cool to be a deadbeat father. The nigga got like 10 plus kids. He don't take care of none of them niggas, right? And when you look at that, that means something, because culturally, we know hip hop has influence. So if it becomes normalized and cool to beat bitches, to be a deadbeat, to be a PDF, and you still be able to have a career, collapse, no one holds it against you, y'all realize morals only get sustained or only get pushed if the masses reject a person for doing morally reprehensible things. When we normalize it, we're saying it's okay. And then when you combine that with the influence of these rappers, yes, you collabing with someone and combining your platform with their platform, you are adopting and co-signing what they do. Like, are we like kidding right now if we're saying that's not the case? But look, that's it for me. I'm gonna talk about the Kanye crashing out on Twitter on Kendrick, Playboy Cardi. There's a little stuff with that, so we're gonna talk about that and the UMG thing. So make sure y'all stay tuned for those videos. Those should be coming out right after this one. Make sure you drop a follow to the Twitch. Let me know what you think in the comments. I already know I'm gonna have some people crying, even though I really looked at all sides. The last thing I want to say before I get out of here, I feel like if I'm playing devil's advocate, you could make the argument. Kendrick said Cardi and Cardo's my evil twin, right? Which maybe is him acknowledging that they're bad. But the other thing, I think, in terms of like, it really depends on if you think people are redeemable or not. If you see a problem with it, do you think people are redeemable? Because what you could say, people that grew up in these certain environments where these things were normalized, and then when you have society don't penalize you for it, where is anything that's supposed to let you know you're wrong? If niggas will still hang around you, if you still have a career, if you're not losing sponsorships, if you're not losing public favor, right? If you're not going to jail, penalty money, something, what indicator is there that these things are wrong, right? You have the power as an individual, whether or not you co-sign someone and what they do, depending on if you work with them. But I could see people like J. Cole and Kendrick, I feel like they're coming at it from the angle where it's like, okay, as Black men in America, we got all these things against us. We want to be understanding to the other Black men that's experienced some of the things and push them towards these directions. And I feel like they think of it like I could have easily ended up being one of these type niggas that do these other things that I don't do. Maybe I don't do it, but I'm around people that do. And they feel like if they're around, maybe they can influence that person to be better. Right? You know, kind of like J. Cole with XXXTentacion, when he found out the domestic violence stuff that he was doing, he was like, yo, I wish I could have just asked him, like, why? What did you go through that made you, you know, do those things? And I'll just tell y'all where I stand. Personally, I do feel like people are redeemable with most things. The only thing I don't feel like people are redeemable from is being a PDF. That's my hard line. To me, there's no coming back. And medically speaking, those people are supposed to be exiled from society. So when it comes to that, that is the one thing. There's no negotiating. There's no understanding. There's no. But what I will say, when it comes to domestic violence, when it comes to some of these other things, people can change. We don't know if people are still currently doing these things to this day. But to me, we know for sure that nigga's being a deadbeat. We know he's being a deadbeat. Iggy Azalea just said he ain't got nothing to do with his son on Twitter a few hours ago. But that's where I stand. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Is domestic violence a hard line for y'all? Do y'all feel like that's redeemable? Do you feel like that's something that should be held against people? Y'all let me know. Until next time, like, comment, sub. We're out of here.